Good evening, Angela.
Hi,
Hello there. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Well, not too bad. Not too bad. Thank you.
Oh, have you not been well?
No, I'm all right. No, it's just well, sort of slight melancholy of the times. There we are.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But this evening's shall be a fill up to the spirit. I think just
Yeah,
a nice little recap. I'm quite looking forward to it, actually.
yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah. So hopefully we shall be joined by some others soon. Let's just.
You said about having an image.
Yeah.
I've got one I can put in front of my face.
There's there's Matthew. You see. Oh yeah. Oh, you mean yeah. Well, yeah, if you wish. I was sort of thinking you're actually your own image.
Ah, right. Sorry. I misunderstood that.
Yeah, that's right. So we can sort of combine them. As if it's just if I think
Yeah.
Matthew was the only person who sent me one anyway. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
How many people are you hoping to join?
It should be my brother and Matthew, Dad. Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Not. I think that's. There might be one or two others, but not. Right, it doesn't matter because it's just. It doesn't have to be everyone. It's just sort of just having a chat about
Yeah.
why we did it and
I'll have to be finished. Yeah, I'll have to be finished by 8.
No, yeah, no, it's yeah, well, we're going to crack on actually when the others turn up. But what have you been up to otherwise? What have you been up to otherwise at the moment?
Well, boringly, I've been. Oh, I had a beautiful Mother's Day. That was really great.
Very nice, very good.
My son did a picnic in Poole Park with all the family. So it was my son, obviously, and my 2 grown-up grandsons and my 4 great-grandchildren, who were wonderful, because the oldest of them is only 6.
Right.
So they're just lovely. And because in Poole Park it was a lovely day, so we had great fun.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it was nice.
Right.
But apart from that, I'm just I'm bored. I'm a registered COVID marshal at the vaccine centre at Kings Park. So I've been volunteering there.
Was that sort of restarting because numbers are going up again or something, or is it?
No, it's busy. It's the main one in the area because they're now doing the 4th vaccine for the over 75s. So we've got them coming in. And the other thing, not boring, but the other thing which has been quite emotional is I've been helping down at Castle Point at the Ukraine place. And it's amazing the amount of stuff that's been donated, not just by individuals, but by companies and shops locally.
Yeah. Good evening, Macbeth.
Good evening. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Oh, that's good. Yeah. All right, Macbeth. He looks quite worried, doesn't he? But yeah.
You notice the similarity there, Angela?
Sorry?
You notice the similarity?
Yeah, I ought to change my name.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's right. So you can change the name. That's quite right. Let's just rename that myself. Let's just put it on there.
So this is being recorded, is it? As we speak. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter about the virtual background at the moment. I'll take that off, actually. But of course, Matthew, you're going to do some editing afterwards, so all of this faffing around doesn't really matter because you've got that program that you can use to edit bits of it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just take that off for the moment. All right. We just.
Do we need to pin? Do we need to pin this?
No, I don't.
No, because there'll be the interviews. You'll want to see who's talking, won't you?
Yeah. Yes. Well, pin. Yeah, we'll pin the interviewee.
Yeah.
We'll pin. So there we are.
Join. Evening. Oh, I've got to sit down. Okay. All right. Evening.
Right. Well.
Probably, yeah. I didn't know I was on TV.
Oh, you're very smart.
Right. Oh, this is a puppet I see before. Oh, it says Matthew.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. What have I got to say?
No, just.
Oh, evening. We live.
Because as I said to Matthew, we'll be doing some editing afterwards, so we're going to stick a bit on the beginning. So I'll have a, like an opening sort of credit slide, which is just the sort of making, cut and paste Macbeth, the making of, and then, and so it will come into just these couple of interviews. So that's what I'll do after this, stick a sort of a slide on, and then send that to you, and you can stick it on at the beginning with the editing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but what are we starting? Is it just?
Oh, we're starting. Right.
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Right.
Evening.
At the start of 2021, going into the second year of COVID and with no end in sight, Conor O'Luby came up with an idea that would engage an ensemble of friends on Zoom that would take as long as it takes. A cut and paste voiceover puppet Macbeth. There he is. Oh, that's Julius Caesar.
Wrong play. Macbeth now.
It actually would take a whole year with his grand world performance at Christmas 21. There it is. There's Macbeth in person. Thoroughly enjoyed by the whole cast, awakening dormant talents. Dormant talents. Dormant rashes. Not least in several impressive, allegedly 11th century Scottish accents. Allegedly. Now, this evening, we should be asking questions of the director and the cast. Yes. And please, no one come up to the stage and slapping anybody while they're speaking. It's not allowed.
No slapping going on.
After Mr. Will Smith's.
Good evening, Acme Acting Company.
Right. Okay. So who should we start with? You? So, to the director, just a few questions before we go to the cast. So what made you come up with Macbeth, for Macbeth, your choice?
Oh, yes, it's me. Oh,
right.
As my character.
Oh, it's gone the wrong way. I better go over here. There. Oh, sit there.
It was also known as Banquo. Well, this was Banquo's guest.
Yes.
Yeah, so what was the question again? I've forgotten.
Yes. Well, what made you choose Macbeth?
Really? It was sort of... Actually, it was because we've been doing a few gigs on Zoom, playing guitars, you know, and then I started to think, well, what else can we do on Zoom? And it's the middle of the pandemic, and just sort of, well, I thought, oh, we could put a play on, and then it just sort of, Macbeth just sort of dropped into my head, really. That was just it. I didn't give any more thought to it other than just what else can we do, and then that just sort of popped into my head. And then for some reason, why I chose a puppet show or whatever, I can't quite remember, to be honest. But it was a puppet show from the beginning, rather than it being. I think it was partly because of the, you know, the background thing, and the ability to use these backgrounds, and I thought that would be a, you know, a sort of a nice.
It was Zoom. It was Zoom, really, wasn't it? It was Zoom that, you know, that you were. I remember when it was first discussed, you were talking about Zoom because you could do the various backdrops and things. But,
yeah, I think so. That was the point of it. It was having seen these backdrops, other people use them, and then it just sort of occurred to me that we could sort of like play around with that, play around with that. Yeah.
Of course, you have to be careful using backgrounds that you're entitled to using.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that you have to, you know, make sure that you don't breach copyright. I don't know how, I mean, how many hits have we got now, Macbeth, on our, maybe it's in the thousands and hundreds of thousands now. It's on YouTube.
To be honest, I haven't checked recently, but we've had a few, you know, not that, as many.
Are you talking tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands? You know, what are we talking here?
Yeah, well, tens of tens.
Right, okay. Anyway, yeah, so you have to.
I haven't checked though recently, and that was the last time I checked was about 3 days after it was first put up there. So that was like a couple of weeks ago, was it? A week ago, or so we might have had more hits, because I've certainly told a few people. So,
well, to be honest, I'm slightly surprised that you haven't had a knock on the door with somebody with a contract, with a pen and paper in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that hasn't happened yet.
Well, not yet, but you know, yeah, hopefully.
But that was, you're quite right. Yes, and the so when you're using other people's, you know, things like pictures and stuff that we did, then there are websites like Pexels and Creative Commons that you can go to, where you can use photography that photos have put up there, which you can use for free, but you do still have to follow the sort of, you know, whether you name the person, and so that's why we put a slide with all the names and the actual, you know, the actual pictures. So that was crediting them that way. Yeah.
So with the idea of the cutouts, how long did you experiment to how you could move them, and you know, did you come to straight away using the toilet rolls? Did it take some time to work that out?
Yes, we did actually. Because as you have not known, now we reveal all, because of course this is the third wall being broken, people. Now we reveal all. This is the whole point of these little extras you get on these DVDs. Look, you didn't know it, but look, it's on a toilet roll. It's on a used toilet roll with a bit of glue tack and like a coffee stick. Yeah.
So our sponsors are what, Costa Coffee and
well, actually it's Burger King over the road where Matthew and I usually go with Martin, and that's where we get the coffee sticks from. Although we're not getting the coffee sticks anymore, it's just as well, because they're so rubbish. Their coffee machine breaks. Now, mind you, you can still steal the coffee sticks if you want them, I suppose.
Many thanks to our Andrex.
So look at that. You wouldn't have known it, but that's all it is. Oh, the wrong way, because the thing is mirrored. But there we are. But yeah,
credit required to begin to suppliers then?
Duncan.
So you credited the various sounds and backdrop and things, but did you have to credit the other prop suppliers as well?
Andrex.
Well, you couldn't really tell whether this was from Andrex or not Dulux. They don't do toilet rolls. Dulux or Sainsbury's or whatever. And the coffee sticks, I doubt it. But it wasn't quite as simple as as I've just made that out to be. Amazing as it appears, the original idea was to. This sounds completely barking, and that is because it is completely barking. But the original idea was to get each of you, if you remember this, the idea was to get each of you to have your own character, and not only your own character, but in the scene. So the scene that any of us were in, we would all have all of us in a scene. So if there were 4 characters in a scene, each of the 4 actors would have to have all of the characters and manipulate them at the same time. So that would be like 16 in total, because 4 of us, 4 actors, and then times 4, because that's how I thought it would work, because I thought the way, because it's talking and moving back and forward. When you talk and it picks it up, the Zoom picks up somebody's talking, then the screen moves back and forward. And I thought that that's the way it would have to work. But that was clearly completely mad, and it would never have worked. We couldn't have done it. It would have just been completely impossible. And then anyway, somebody mentioned it. Maybe it was you, Duncan, or maybe it was Macbeth, but somebody did actually mention that all we had to do was pin the Puppet Master's screen.
Yeah, I think we discussed it, didn't we? What was the best? Burger King, wasn't it? And we decided, we gave it a go. We were going to give both of them a go, weren't we? On which worked best, and that seemed to work best with one person. Well, I know it was a lot of work for you to do. Trying to juggle it all together. And,
it worked best. I mean, it could only work like that. The other way couldn't work. There's just no way that we would all be manipulating. Okay, and the screen, it wouldn't look the same anyway. Somebody would drop it in one screen, and it just completely mad. So
a bit crowded on the table when they did.
By the way, let's introduce some of it. Here we are. So, and also there we are. Here we are. So just so you all feel quite at home. Oops, there we go.
Oh, the witches, yes.
The interesting, if you could elaborate, Conor, on the how you ended up with using that colour scheme, and that was an interesting find, wasn't it?
That's right. Sorry, Duncan.
It'd be interesting if you could elaborate on how you ended up with the colour scheme and
the colour scheme.
Yes.
Yeah, that was another thing, because that was quite complicated as well, actually, to be honest, because it matters the colour that you use on a character. It has to essentially work with the photograph that you're using as the backdrop. So if you use a colour that's either, I can't remember whether it's the same or whatever, but it won't pick it up. Sometimes the colour that you have used, so a lot of the things I have to do in this blue colour, you notice a lot of stuff is blue. See, Duncan, your beard is blue. Macbeth is, or the face actually. Most of the faces, either I left them blank or I blued them, because that seemed to work with most backgrounds, photographs, whatever the colour of the various colours in the photographs, the blue would seem to work. But others,
it's like you're inspired by one of those huge budget Hollywood films, Avatar.
Oh yeah, that was all blue.
Yeah, at least I didn't spend as much as they spent.
Cameron,
was vast.
But some of the colours didn't show up, did they? When you used other colours, they didn't.
Yeah,
That's
on
right.
the screen, they didn't. It looked right through them, didn't it?
That was that's what I'm saying. Sometimes that was problematic because it shone.
It was transparent, wasn't it? Some of the colours.
It's all right with it. Ghost.
But it was trial and error, really. A lot of it. Yeah. I'm not forgetting.
Which one's that?
Oh, that's of course Macbeth joining.
Oh, yeah.
There we are. So are some of the other our other interviewees some questions?
Yeah. Well, you all enjoyed it, of course. I'm sure. Yeah. What was the best parts of it for you? Do you want to go in order?
Not necessarily in order.
Not in no particular order. Yes. All right. Oh, he's falling apart then. Right, Angela, what did you like best about
Weird Sister?
Weird Sister.
I thought it was great fun.
Right.
It was good. It brought people together at a time when we all weren't allowed to live a normal life.
Yeah, that's true.
Just the interaction between us all, people that some of us had never met before, and it was just all worked together very well. I think it was just great fun.
Yeah, it did. It did, and the fact that we did it over quite a few months, took the whole year. It gave us brought us back a lot to our school days, I should imagine. A lot of us would have done Macbeth in school. And remember trying to remember lines for a Monday morning or the English lessons. I remember getting tongue tied. Yes. And was one of the good things about Macbeth. It's the shortest, I think, of Shakespeare's plays, isn't it? So
shortest tragedy.
The shortest tragedy. But
it's much fun doing it this way. It was much more fun doing it as we did than when we learnt about it at school.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it's different, isn't it? And then we've got the teacher throwing a chalk at you or whatever it is. Yeah. And what about Macbeth then? Has the gone to your head? Is it the power? Or?
Well, I'm still waiting for the flowers, But no, I'm only joking. No, it was really good fun, and I have enjoyed it. The whole process and everything, and it was great. I like the idea as soon as Conor was talking about it, because it was a good thing. Everyone at the time was taught on Zoom, doing groups and things for the lockdown, and it just seemed a good way of using Zoom. I don't know, it just sounded like a good idea from the start, and I think it worked. The whole thing, it did work quite well. I certainly, it was good, and it gave me an opportunity, because I did Macbeth at school myself, and it was good to go and redo it in a different way, so that I could see see the play from a different angle, So it was good. Yeah. And
Duncan, is he there?
Macbeth in mid-sentence there. I think
he's got an audience.
Bit quiet, Duncan. You'll have to speak up.
For me, I actually hadn't done Macbeth at school. I hadn't done this kind of thing at school. So for me, it was going to be a new thing and a novel
Right.
aspect. Both this whole doing it on Zoom and doing it remotely as well as actually the play itself. So that was part of the fun. I probably was a bit concerned actually in initial stages about thinking, if this is before obviously we heard about how it was going to potentially work, on Zoom, and we'll have to learn how many lines we'll have to learn, and then obviously with the character thing as well, which kind of, you've already explained there, Banquo, and how that would show up and how it would sort of transition from scene to scene and things. But actually, in the end, it worked out, pretty well. I mean, in some ways, yes, I suppose you could say probably would be nice for some of the people watching to be able to see us all at some point on screen, sort of during the play. I suppose that was kind of something that people were asking me about when I said, "Oh, I'm doing this play, and do you want to watch this?" And so on. Said, "Oh," and I said, "Oh, I won't actually be on screen." It's like, "Oh, okay." But perhaps that was a bit off-putting for some of the audience, maybe, in terms of not being able to see their person who's introduced them to come and view. And also it was interesting to be part of a cast. Some of you have met before, but many who hadn't, and that was quite a good thing to bring, as our with Sister Angela commented upon, saying we sort of brought different people together who maybe hadn't worked together before, and it was definitely a good thing to do during the whole pandemic, COVID kind of era, and definitely one of the biggest things I'll remember from it, I think.
Yeah.
It was an international cast as well.
International cast, yes.
Yeah.
Slovakia, was it?
And Slovakia and America.
Yeah. Oh, Andrew was Andrew was in America. Yes. Right, in fact. Yes, I enjoyed, for the first time I actually thought the porter was funny, because studying at the school, I never knew what he was on about, that porter banging at the door when Macduff is banging. The king is dead, and the porter comes out. I think that was John Adams, wasn't it, doing the porter?
Yes, John
joined us at a later date. Yes, I think he did that pretty well, because I remember at school thinking, what the heck is he on about, the porter? But it is quite funny. Not all Shakespeare's jokes are funny now, but that is quite neat.
But I sense that as well, that there's a slight humour in the middle of it that Shakespeare put in there, because I found when I was saying the lines, sometimes there'd be something, it would suddenly rhyme or something with a strange rhyme, and it'd be sound humorous, even though the play was really sort of dark, But,
yes, it is. Well, I did an unintentional one, because when I said he was going to, instead of saying invested at Scone, I think I said he was going to be infested at Scone. That wasn't Shakespeare. That was me unintentionally.
Then there was some.
Maybe Shakespeare would have put it in if he thought about it, but
well, we had a couple of those bloopers, and they were quite charming, really, I thought, and they were left in because Matthew did a sterling job. So Macbeth Matthew did a sterling job of the editing, so you might want to tell us a little bit about that. But we left a few of these bloopers in. That was one of them. There was also Lennox Sue, who referred to the buffet of misfortune, which but then I suppose it could be seen as a buffet, different things on the table of misfortune. I don't know. So the buffet of misfortune, being infested in Scone. And there was another one as well, actually.
Birmingham, the forest is going to come to Birmingham.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, to be fair, she's in Slovakia. I don't think she has heard of Birmingham. I don't think she's heard of Birmingham. Yeah. But there's a long way to walk with a branch in front of you from Birmingham up to Dunsinane. So definitely left that one in.
They were all left in. But Macbeth, tell us a bit about what you did with the editing.
Well, the editing, we wanted to keep all the good mistakes in there, but there were one or two that I think someone got a telephone call halfway through and hadn't put mute on, and they were trying to tell someone they were watching Macbeth, which confused me because I thought he was saying I should be talking. So I was saying, no, I shouldn't be, carry on, you know. So we had to redo that part of it. And
yeah, we redid it. And Duncan, you were there.
Yes, we did a couple of scenes, but then it was a case of cut and paste Macbeth, wasn't it? You know, so it was cutting and paste the video in the new video, the redone video. And apart from that, there was just a few parts where you were changing stuff over from one scene to another.
Well, they fell off the table. That's the thing. Once the things fell off the table, you had to try and find out which character it was. Yeah, that happened a couple of times, isn't it?
Because that's the what people don't see. Because we're so professional that people would know. You know, that's just something that people wouldn't know.
Not more.
I mean, you've got. That's just 4 or 5 there. I've got about 30 or so here, and so I was setting down on the table.
Maybe they could be reused for another play or something.
Possibly, yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
King.
Very good King.
Yeah. But unfortunately, it did happen a couple of times, knocking them over, and of course then scrabbling around on the floor trying to find where Macbeth has gone. Well, there we are. But I don't think many people notice that, to be honest.
I think we should plan another play.
Well, it has been said.
Well, you know what? Think about it.
It's been suggested.
Anything shorter than that, then
It was shorter.
We could think about it. I mean, you did have a background in art, I suppose, so you can do that.
What did you sort of? How did you? Here's a question for you, thesps. You know, obviously dedicated thesps as you are. I was wondering how you actually got into character. I mean, you know, did you do a sort of Robert De Niro, you know, eating sort of like 12 pounds of ice cream a day to beef yourself up to be, you know, like, well, I don't know if there's a particularly overweight reporter, might be slightly overweight, I don't know. Or did you sort of starve yourself for like 6 weeks so you could sort of like get yourself down to a cadaverous sort of, well, that would be me, Banquo, I suppose. So what sort of methods do you use to get yourself truly into the role? That's what I want to know.
Well, I'll go first, but well, what I've always felt felt something for Macbeth, because he's a tragic character, isn't he? And I've always sort of thought about it in the past, you know, because I at school and everything, and I think there's a bit of not necessarily committing all these murders and everything, but there's a bit of Macbeth in everyone, I think, even though, you know, that maybe, I don't know, made a mistake or something, you know. And I think it was, you know, I think it was reading the play, it was clear that he was a poor fool, really, you know. So I sort of.
What do you think? You surely don't think he was more sinned against than sinning, surely? No. He sinned, obviously. Yeah. Not very reluctant, really.
But he was a fool, really, wasn't he? At the end of the day, he was a fool of his own ego. But you know, it's I think it's a character that is in everyone's minds, you know.
I do. You say there's a bit of Macbeth in everyone. I sort of agree with you there. I think he's probably a sort of. He's one of the most, in a way, probably
He was-
well
it
thought
was-
out, well developed characters that in that play, definitely.
Yeah, he was a victim of his own success. He was his own victim of his own success. Is a way you could describe it. But yeah, I know it's a big question, isn't it? With what sort of person he was and everything.
If he hadn't met those witches.
If he hadn't met you, Angela, if he hadn't met you, weird
Yeah.
sister,
I know.
then would he? Now that's a good. You see, that is actually one of the questions of Macbeth. If he hadn't have met you, would he have been, just a nice guy and just living his loyal life with Duncan, or would he have gone ahead and done those type of things anyway? What do you think, weird sister? Did it come down to you, or was he always going to do it?
I mean, weird sister, she knew what she had to do. She was a tough cookie, and I think she got that message out there.
She did.
I had done Macbeth anyway at school, and I sort of did a little bit of research on the character, and I love playing characters anyway, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I just thought it was important to get that strength of the weird sister over, because they were quite strong characters, and it was good fun. Just one thing, boringly, I'm getting a message up telling me there's only 7 minutes left for the meeting.
Now we can just, it's because it's the old free account thing, but we can just quickly just rejoin again for the last 20 minutes. We'll just go up to 8 o'clock, I think. That'll be fine, but we'll just rejoin when it comes down to the, like we do before.
But when Lady Macbeth got the letter, who had the letter come from? I can't remember now. She was reading the letter before.
From Macbeth. It was from Macbeth.
Macbeth sent it himself.
Yeah.
Yes, Macbeth sent the
letter. Did he say in the letter that he'd met those weird sisters?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Oh, he did. It's all in the letter.
Yes.
Right. I've forgotten.
But just to return there, weird sister, do you feel any responsibility, or do you think that that it was true?
I think
it was Macbeth's responsibility in the end. Everybody has to take responsibility for their own actions and not try and shift the blame off onto other people that they led them on. In the end,
I think it made Macbeth a stronger character.
Yeah.
He was the stronger character.
What you mean by coming into contact with the weird sisters?
Yeah.
Who came into contact?
I think everybody played their part. It was just bringing everybody together, and I think all the characters contributed to it and influenced Macbeth. Some positively, negatively.
Yeah, it's quite a big question, I think, isn't it? I think psychologists would be arguing and discussing the whole thing, about what exactly was going on.
Of course, nobody's asked Duncan his opinion because he was dead. What do you think about being murdered brutally by Macbeth, Duncan? I mean, after all, I could see that your immediate thought might be, well, it's disgracefully disloyal. After all, I offered him. But, after all, you weren't much difference either in historical reality. Duncan was probably bit of a mean sort himself. Probably went around bumping people off. What do you think?
Was it the law of karma? The law of karma, you could say.
What's that?
And, the law of karma.
Karma. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Karma coming back.
Interpretation of it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And
what goes round comes round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't get to learn much about Duncan, his character. He orders the execution of the previous Thane of Cawdor. but then he had been disloyal, and that would have been just standard. So that wasn't particularly brutal or unusual. So we don't really know what Duncan might have been like. I mean, there are historically that's there are, you know.
Of course, we're talking Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a Hollywood scriptwriter of his day. He didn't care about historical facts too much. It's just a good story, and he bent it. Same with Richard III. A lot would say, who knows? Maybe he was that bad, but the play was the thing, as he said, and he knew the king would like it because the king had this obsession, James, that is, with witches in Scottish. Oh, he knew which side, you know, to butter up, did Shakespeare.
Are there any other characters?
Oh, right, yeah.
I mean, some, of course, I cut out a few of the characters here and there. There's an entire scene that I cut out, which was the.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Duncan, you'll have to sit nearer the.
General Seward's son, wasn't that one of the?
Seward's son, the one that gets killed.
Well, he is in it.
No, because Macbeth fought him, didn't he, at the end?
Yeah, killed him. Yeah.
And killed him. Yeah.
No, it's Lady Macduff. We took that out, and she's killed with the kids.
Yeah, I took that scene out. I took the entire scene, which is where Lady Macduff is brutally murdered along with her entire family and retinue. And I just decided to take it out because we knew she was going to get murdered, and then we hear that she's been murdered. So time saving. Let's just get her bumped off quickly without all of this shilly-shallying around for a whole. I mean, sorry, Shakespeare, but anyway. So that whole thing came out. Quite amusingly, I thought when you get to the next scene, which is then when Macduff and Malcolm are in England, and this scene, I cut that as well, where it's a really weird scene. If you would have had to read the original text, but essentially Malcolm is testing. It seems he's testing Macduff because Macduff says, "Oh, we've got to go back to Scotland and overthrow this tyrant," and then Malcolm is saying, "Well, you know, I'd sleep with all the women just like Macbeth does," and then Macduff says, "Well, there's plenty of women you don't need to sleep with," and he goes, "Oh, I'd be corrupt just like that." And he goes on and on and on about how bad he would be, and then eventually Macduff goes, "Oh, bloody hell, I'm not going back to Scotland with you then." And then Malcolm says, "Oh, I was only joking." "No, I'm only joking." So I cut that entire bit because I couldn't see that anyone would actually believe it. But so I cut that out. So there were various bits there that sort of came out, and also the weird bit where Ross turns up to tell Macduff that his family's been murdered, and he just can't get round to telling him. Well, understandably, but he says, "Oh,
how's my family?
How's your family? Oh, all fine. They're all fine. But in fact, they're all dead." And then eventually he goes, "Well, no, they're not fine.
They're all dead.
They're all dead." So, that's the actual original text.
Strange, but actually maybe quite amusing. Eventually, when it eventually came out.
Indeed. Now we're just going to cut off there. So if you just re-log in for the waiting for Duncan Ketton to rejoin us, hopefully. So of course we added some music in there as well. How did that
loud, was it?
I think it fitted in well. It was good choices.
But what I found afterwards, it was difficult here, knowing how loud it's coming across. And when I listened back to it, you know, it wasn't as loud as I thought it would be, but I wasn't as near as it was. So that's just something, you know, you have to keep trying that. But could you hear it at all? I suppose you could hear it. But
you can hear it.
Yeah, it's getting. You know, I should have been playing about here somewhere, I think, for this far back, and it was faint. But anyway, there was something.
So here's a question that the burning question, and I've been wanting to ask, which is, what was it like working with this up-and-coming director, producer, scriptwriter? What was it like working, and would you want to work with this this up-and-coming rising star again? That's the question I want to ask.
Well, they want to do another one, don't they?
That's a good question. It felt like all the power was with the up and coming director, actor, stroke producer, stroke set designer, stroke costume
designer, best
artist,
boy,
visual artist,
key grip,
resource manager, you could say, researcher.
well,
And I think you did have a bit of help with the kind of the musical side, didn't you? Thankfully.
indeed.
So hopefully it didn't all go to your head.
Like Macbeth.
Yeah, go to
Yeah, I think.
I definitely give them a good reference
No, there we are.
and recommend them to anybody that was looking
A
for
reference from the Weird Sisters. I'm not quite sure whether how useful that would be in my future success. A reference from the Weird
Maybe
Sisters.
I need to change my name and say just quiet, peaceful sister.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, great potential as director.
Well. I shan't let it o'erleap ambition. But what like Macbeth did, not like Matthew Macbeth there, who has let it all go to his head.
Thane of Townsend.
Yeah,
I'd like to see what the Coen brothers version.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Has any of you seen that?
Which
the
one?
Coen brothers.
Is that the one with Denzel Washington? Is that the one with Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
Denzel Washington. Is it? McDormand.
Francis McDormand.
Yes. Not seen it yet, but I am going to watch it. Yeah, I am going to watch it soon. Yeah.
I definitely think we should be planning the next one.
Well, there we go. Well, you see, Duncan was mentioning the variety of roles that I took on, and of course, I would encourage you as I do to take on more responsibility, take on some of those roles there, and it's
12 Nights.
best boy and key grip. I don't know what they do actually. What do they do? Best boy. What does the best boy do? Gaffer. I think the gaffer puts the tape down on the floor or something. Is that what gaffer tape?
He does more than the worst boy. So I don't know. He does. Yes. Yes.
The runner.
We've
Runner
got
as well?
two characters made. We've got Julius Caesar and Richard III somewhere.
Yeah.
But just got to get a horse. Go with Richard III. Well, he's there somewhere. But who's that? Who's that? Oh,
sort of Richard III, or otherwise known as Crowback Dick.
Oh, dear.
So any future thoughts then? Any future ideas? Were we to give consideration to future productions? What ideas would you have?
Well, I think where there's sort of male and female parts in it. I was thinking of Julius Caesar, but it's mainly war scenes that I think, isn't it?
It's not.
It's just Julius Caesar. Beware the Ides of March.
Infamy. They've all got infamy.
Carry on, Cleo.
No. Yes. There's not very many. I mean. Well, you got to think about it. 12 9. With the Templars.
Yeah.
What the
bit more modern.
What, modern? What, a
Yeah,
modern
more-
Shakespeare? You mean a modern... Oh, you mean not Shakespeare, you mean?
Not Shakespeare.
Not
Try and think of.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Or even somebody could write an entirely new.
There you are.
No,
Go on.
that as well.
Nice
That
position.
was-
You've got an interest there.
Carol Pinter, because there's long pauses, because you can be looking for your script. And Carol Pinter, remember, yeah, not much is said for ages. Well,
Great
yeah.
comedy based on modern day politics.
Boris Johnson.
Of course, Macbeth is, like a lot of the greatest works, I guess, they resonate. I mean,
Falstaff. Johnson is Falstaff.
yeah, but Falstaff is essentially likable. Johnson isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Macbeth. Yeah, okay. The people at the top aren't actually killing each other, but in this country, at least, anyway. But there's loads of overleaping ambition and backstabbing and everything else going on. I mean,
Romeo and Juliet. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Getting too old for that.
Well, you're not going to play Juliet, are you? You can do if you want.
No, well, yes. Yeah.
Duncan, do you want to make a reappearance at some point?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting the idea of a more modern sort of style play. Yeah, but kind of wonder what that would be really. For me, I think it would be good if it was a modern one. Maybe if it was a shorter play, just to see how that would work.
Short.
And
Well, we
yeah,
can go
something
away
like maybe an hour and a half, something like that. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
go
too
away.
short, maybe, but yeah, just wondered
Think
if
about it.
that would. Yeah.
An idea has just occurred to me, actually. And that's just like what it happened back there when we came up with it. You know that game we play at school with
Othello.
Eh?
Othello.
That is a game. But did you mean the play or the game?
Well, both, because I thought you were going to say,
Othello.
do you remember that game? Yeah.
That wasn't what I had in mind. But however, no, I sometimes use it in teaching as well. That you have to sort of write a story or something, and you pass it around the room, and each person writes a couple of sentences, following on from the person before. So you could actually put together a play written by all of us, or as many people who wanted to actually do it by doing it in that way.
That's a good idea,
That's
actually.
different.
Challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a thing that just dropped into my head. Sometimes those things just drop into your head.
Yeah. You have to have a start to say when it's set.
Well, anyway, it's just something to think about.
The overall theme, yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts then, as we come to we bring this delightful evening to a close, and we shall pass on to be edited by the great Macbeth, who has other talents other than murdering lots of people. He's actually quite good on IT, so he should be able to put this together as the DVD extra, which will then be shortly going straight to the bargain basement bin in WH Smith's. No, it won't.
Brilliant.
This is going to be a classic. Any final thoughts before we leave?
I definitely think we should consider doing another something else, another one.
It has been heard.
Yeah,
Has been heard.
Dutch, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, okay. We'll give it.
Macbeth.
That's my mobile, unfortunately. I think it's probably Martin.
Have to edit that one out, eh?
Duncan, any last thoughts?
Apart
should
from
have said that in the
as
play.
you said, I mean, just how to set it all, having a go at, something different, something new, and seeing where that takes us. Yeah, I think Sounds like a plan. Yeah, definitely sounds like a plan. And I like, the fact that, it could be, again, the same sort of style of, sort of remotely on Zoom and people from sort of different places
Well,
getting together.
if we all go away and think of something, just send in ideas.
Yeah.
I think the idea of
Well, here we
writing
are. Sorry,
our
just to
own-
interrupt, but to
Okay.
say, I think the last word should be given to Macbeth,
Well, then,
the star of the
Oh,
show.
right.
Macbeth,
Last-
the final words,
yeah.
the last soliloquy, the last syllable of recorded time
let's go on.
goes to you.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's if we write between us, everyone contribute and write our own play and put that up. I think that sounds like a good idea, actually. But, yeah.
Well, we've got to agree on it. We've got to agree on a period and setting, etc. Well, it'd be all different. One set in Scotland, one set in Timbuktu, and we've got to agree on something.
Well, I mean, you could essentially,
in a period.
well, we were going to leave Macbeth the last lines, but no, not necessarily, because it would follow on. If it was that idea, we would just follow on from what person's written before. But anyway,
Okay.
I would like to thank you for joining us this evening. It has been a pleasure to be in your thespian company yet again, and
Where's the hand?
I wish you a very pleasant rest of your evening, and it's goodbye from me,
And goodbye from him.
and it's goodbye from him.
And him and him.
Could you share the YouTube links as well? I know you've got
Goodbye from him.
Bye.
See you later.
Oh, who's he?
Goodbye.
Okay. All right.